let's take a look at some old stuff. So this video is going to be a little bit different than my normal content, and I wanted to discuss a few of these items that I received very generously from my uncle. So to him, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And this is going to be sort of a time capsule unboxing as well as appreciation video, starting with this Colt 1911 A1 in 45 ACP. This was gifted to me by my uncle for Christmas. Now I'll get into this in further detail. You can see that some of these features aren't exactly stock government features, but this pistol is what started this whole idea of the time capsule and the individual that these items represent. Now the person before me served in the Second World War, and this pistol found its way home with him. And after the war, he was clearly a target shooter, and he had done some things to this pistol to make it more of a target pistol, which in my opinion is a very fitting retirement for a weapon that has served its purpose and now has come to retire in civilian life. So I love this kind of thing because all of these items tell us a little bit more of the story of the individual who owned these before me. And again, I always think about, I'm just a caretaker and these items will be passed on long after I'm gone. So it's always fun to sort of decode these items and learn more about its previous owner. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these things that I think you might find interesting as well. Alright, so I'm going to start with this first box that I received. I've covered up this information just to protect this person's identity, even though they have passed away since then. But this is still in the box, and this was postmarked 1967. And, you know, these are all just little clues as to when, where, how, all that sort of thing. So my uncle said he found some things in the attic that had been sitting there since he received them from this gentleman. And he wanted to know if I wanted them. And I said, of course. And what I found was, digging through here, that clearly this gentleman was a shooter. We found all sorts of dies, his lead pot, some notes on different loads, as well as multiple different pieces, other different dies, lead chunks, ingots, as well as reloading tools, and all sorts of various dies and tool sets. Now there's all kinds of little tools that I'm not sure what exactly they go to. Like this one is labeled BS plug 303 or 421, and there's multiples of these types of tools. We got all sorts of dies in here which are in great shape, surprisingly, for just sitting in the attic. But this gentleman was smart enough to wrap everything in a waxed paper so that they would not rust, which is great. And so there's all sorts of miscellaneous tools, shell casings, and homemade tools for the types of reloading that he himself was doing. Now, from what I can see, he was doing a lot of 45 reloads, and he was shooting a lot of competition 22, it looks like. And let's see what else we can see in here, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, so this is his hard bullet metal. It's just lead ingots, I'm sure, for his 45. Yep, just a big chunk of lead in there. And that's always appreciated. And you can see his nice lead pot here. And we have leftover bullets. Excuse me, we have leftover bullets that were either miscast or shot, and he picked up as a part of his routine. And it looks like we have 1,000 gas checks here, which is nice. Lyman gas checks. That's pretty great. So as soon as I saw this, I said, okay, this guy was a real shooter. So after the war, he comes home and wants to keep shooting. and he uses his 1911 and customizes it and just turns it into a great competition shooter. So at some point, I think it was the next Christmas, my uncle had told me he had another box that he found of some other parts that might be of interest. And in that box was an original high standard pistol, 22 caliber box that goes to the pistol that he currently has. So I gave that back to him and I put these items into just this modern box. But I knew right away that this was an additional barrel for that 1911 A1 barrel and a bushing, as well as sear spring and firing pin springs here. So, and all kinds of great tools, even some homemade dippers here. This one appears to be out of a 223, as well as this one from a 45. This is great. So this just tells me a little bit more about the person who once had these and how he took care of his things and what he used it for and how he continued to use this pistol and have fun after the war. But wait, there's more. If that wasn't enough, we have this great box of essential Christmas decorations, and this is just full of wonderful surprises. First thing right off the bat, we have some NRA targets, which shows me that this guy was a competition shooter, which is very clear. And he had written in, there's some handwriting on here, which is really cool to see. Now, once we get into this box, there are some really awesome items from back when that I'm really glad to have. There's got a couple of manuals for some Weaver scopes, which I don't have, but still interesting to me nonetheless. Now we get into some of the different boxes of cartridges that he saved, that he was reloading. It's mostly 45 in here, which makes sense. And then we have another 45 die set. We have multiple dies here, which is fantastic. We also have some lead pre-ready to go, so lead balls pre-ready to go, and all the tools that we need to start producing, which is cool. And speaking of, we have some great Lyman bullet molds. This is the 429, as well as the 358 425 and the 429 303. Now, what's cool about these is that he went ahead and left these all with a mold still inside of it. I don't know if that's an old trick to keep these just together or in better shape, or to remind yourself of what's in there, but all of his molds have a cartridge, or a bullet, excuse me, in there, which is really, really neat to see. These are all just in great shape, and it would be very easy just to get these back into production today, which is excellent, and which I intend on doing. Now, this is always fun. We have some of the Spear Target 45s, the plastic cartridges for practicing in your garage or for training, and it still has the instruction manual here, as well as some of the plastic bullets that you can reuse a few times. I mean, these are a lot of fun, and I wish these were still more available these days, but this is a great box also. Now, of course, these would be inserted in a plastic case, and you would use a large pistol primer, and they would be fired just from the inertia of the primer itself. And these came from XL Hardware Store for a whopping $2 for this whole box, and this entire box is still there, which is great. Okay, moving on. So we have this Outers pistol cleaning kit, which is great, and this is essentially new in the box, which is really nice. 22 caliber kit with all the bottles and the patches and oils, solvents still in there, and I assume that this was for his high standard target pistol. So continuing on here, we see this beautiful Benjamin target pistol box. Look at that. Excellent shape. Benjamin air pistol, model 130. 18 bucks. Great box though. Beautiful condition for just sitting there in the attic. Shows you never know. Anyway, of course, it has all the literature, the manual, registration card, everything you need to know, instructions about how to use this. And, of course, the pistol itself, which is in great condition. There's a little bit of rust there from sitting around, but nothing that won't come right off. Grips are in great shape. The only problem is the seal, and it's not holding air, but that can be fixed. I'm not sure exactly how much that would be, but might be worth doing. You can see here a little bit of rust on the bolt, but overall just needs good cleaning. Very, very nice. I imagine very accurate as well, but a very cool piece to come out of this unique time capsule. Of course, has almost a brand new box of the Benjamin Steel air rifle shot. Babies. Pretty nice, pretty nice, pretty nice. Look at it, it's like brand new. Beautiful. So here we have another cleaning kit. This is a rifle kit, of course, which just has the rods in there, but still has the box. 22 caliber rifle. Who knows what that went to? Also by Outers, but it's here also. Now we get to look at some of this old ammo boxes. Let's start with this Remington. 45 auto, 230 grain metal case bullets, 50 centerfire smokeless cartridges. And if we open these up, these are all full. If I had to guess, these were going to be his reloads. And as these, let's see, we have Remington UMC. Yep. So, mixture of head stamps, definitely reloads that I don't believe I will be trying to shoot, unfortunately, because you just never know, especially after sitting around for quite a while. But the box itself is also very neat. Non-corrosive, foil-proof box. And we have a second one of those here. Again, mixed head stamps, and this seems to be the bullet that was working well for him. There's quite a bit of those, or the other way around. It wasn't working, he didn't like those, so they stayed in the box. Looks like we have here another Remington clean bore priming. So, non-corrosive. Those horrible mercury primers. And these look to be factory loads. We have Remington Peters and full metal jacket. And these are all pretty consistent. -1 here. Looks like it was test fired. But these are all very similar, almost a full box right there, which is pretty cool. 230 grain MC bullet, index 6645. Pretty neat. So, moving on, we have this looks like a military box. And of course, it's M1911. And it looks like here's a lot number, and we have reload number. It's got the bullet number. Let's see if we can find that. 303. Nope, this was the... I don't see that bullet mold, but here are some other examples. That seems to be a popular one with this gentleman. So we have some more examples of reloads here. Moving on, we have some more ammo boxes. This is Western trademark. Supermatch. Centerfire cartridges, 45 auto. Lead. 210 grain clean cutting bullet. So these are probably wad cutters, if I had to guess. And these are just spent cases that he was saving. And let's take a look. Yep, these are the Westerns, so these are from this box here. And he has a handwritten date on here of 7/4/62. Supermatch 45 auto. Pretty neat. Pretty neat. Speaking of more Western, we have this box here. 230 grains. We have a handwritten note here of 1975 date. And if I had to guess, some load data here, which I can't really make out anymore. But nice box. Made in East Alton, Illinois, where I was born. So, very neat, very neat. See, it feels just like casings in here. Yes, Westerns again. Very cool. Ooh. I'm trying to take care of these boxes. I know a lot of you guys out there collect some of these different types of boxes. Here we have another Supermatch box, which again I'm sure is going to be all casings. Yes. Almost completely full. And one last Western Supermatch box. This looks to be a little bit newer than that one. And these are all 38 specials. 148 grain, lead, clean cut, wad cutters as well. And let's take a look in here. Oh yeah. Good. And actually, this last one was in one of these other boxes. I'll get that back in there. But it'd be interesting to know what 38 he was shooting these in. Anyway, this is all very fascinating to me. So let's get some of this all out on the table and we'll wrap this thing up. So once we get everything laid out on the table here, you can see that this was a passion for someone. Someone not too different than myself, who found solace or enjoyment out of the shooting sports. And that's really nice to see. And this is really a beautiful time capsule of how a lot of the items used to be, how the packaging was. And one of the best parts about this is all of these tools are still 100% functional. There's not too many things these days that you can buy that will last 50, 100 years later. And some of these tools, I don't even know what these are for. This is pretty unique, and I'm sure it's for sizing a cartridge, or I imagine a cartridge. Anyway, this is in great shape. It's got different numbers here listed on the side. And then he's got quite a few homemade tools out of these cases. Different cases for different calibers he was loading for, such as these dippers, which are really, really nice. And I found here the old grip screws from that 1911 before he changed the grips. So after going through a few more of these boxes and taking a closer look, I found some 38 dies, some 44 dies, and on this box here, we saw the handwriting that said this was the reload for the 4.52-4.60 bullet mold, which is right here. And this is an ideal mold, and this matches his notes here, which is also, again, left full. So that's pretty great, and it appears that he really liked this load. So it's just another insight into a very specific individual's likes, dislikes, hobbies, how he chose to spend the remaining years post-war. And I just find it fascinating. So here in the near future, I'll be doing a separate video, as I mentioned, on this Colt 1911 A1, which has a lot of interesting proof marks and has been around and done many things and is a really cool piece in and of itself. So I'll get that together, get some close-ups, and do some shooting with this. I look forward to that. So before I go, I just want to give a big thank you to my Uncle Jim, who's always been so generous with his camera equipment, things like that, even when I was a punk little kid. And I just wanted to say thanks, Uncle Jim. I really appreciate that. And these things hopefully have found a good home, and a majority of this stuff will be used again, and if not, thoroughly appreciated. So thank you very much. I really appreciate that. You guys like this kind of thing. I know some of you guys collect these old boxes, and if you have any other information on things that I missed, such as these different tools and what they're used for, please let me know. I love to hear about that kind of thing. Or if you just have stories of this kind of stuff that you find lying around and hopefully isn't discarded into the trash bins of history. So as always, I just want to say thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Until next time, keep your fingers off the trigger. We'll see you later.